Hello and welcome to Men Behind the Curtain, the podcast about everything and nothing all at once. I am Pitt.
I'm Eli. I was just fighting with my microphone because I knocked it over right before we decided to, start. But whatever.
That's all right. You're fighting with the microphone. I'm fighting with sinuses today.
Yeah. Real quick, just at the top here, I just want to point out. So, if anybody's watching this, if you followed any of what we've talked about with Valmont, we actually recorded a short. It is a Patreon exclusive. So you would have to actually be subscribed to Carolina Storyteller. I He doesn't want much. It's like what, $1, $2 a month, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Um, so yeah, we recorded a short yesterday. Me and him co-wrote it. We co-wrote it. We did the voices for it. It's like a 5-minute clip, but it's cool. It gives both of our characters a little bit of backstory. We can flesh them out a little bit more. And honestly, the ending to it, which I'm not going to tell y'all what it is because I'm not going to give it away for free. But god damn it, I wrote the ending to it, but every time I hear it, it's fucking hilarious.
Go ahead, pat yourself on the back.
I mean, come on. I don't give myself credit very often, so I'll take this one.
No, I absolutely love it. After I got done putting it together, and I'm started thinking, it's like, what does Frank have on him? And I don't think I went overboard with the sound effect at all.
No, I was counting it. There were 9 or 10 uh, shots right there. So I'm like, that sounds about right, depending on the piece. Like, I don't see Frank being the type to carry a revolver, which is only 6.
Well, I was thinking like a Kimber 1911 or something like that.
Yeah, and he's not gonna carry something with an extended clip because this is spoiler free because it comes up in like the second or third episode that you can listen to. Um, Frag Valmont says something about, "Hey, I can see your gun," which he's not going to have an extended clip because you can't hide that.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
Frank's not that smart, so he thought Valmont meant his dick, but whatever.
But that's my shotgun.
I thought I got that Yippa fixed.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that, afraid.
Speaking of which, also, you know what? I'll go ahead and plug it here too. So, Pitt, one of our co-stars, Adele Valentine, and the creator Jonathan Miller, has he dropped the Phoenix pen name? Because I don't think I've seen him use that in a while.
I think he's using it in certain instances. I think
Okay.
at least writing for Valmont, he's using the Miller.
Okay.
So,
Well, at any rate, they actually did an interview with the page. I want, what was it, like ES Productions or ESI, something like that. I forget what. I will link it in the description. I just can't remember how it was actually titled. But about a 45 minute
I can't
interview.
remember either. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was about 45
We talk
minutes.
about to how we developed the characters and the voices, and talked a little about the audio production, and kind of gave some upcoming portions, like mentioning the Valmont shorts, like Frank's Day Off, which just was published last night.
Yeah. I was surprised at that. I did not expect him to put it out like same day, but I guess, it was clean, so I guess we were able to do that.
I
I know that we are.
have it done last night.
Yeah. I know that we're going to do some other ones. I'm gonna write and record something for both of my characters, Frank and Chuckles. We talked about doing one with Chuckles and another one of his characters' mother. Just listen to the episodes. Like, listen to the ones you can listen to right now. But yeah, so we'll
You're
we'll
gonna
be
tell
doing
my
that.
mama.
Dude, that line had me fucking. That had me dying. I'm gonna tell my mom.
Dude, I was just trying to figure out. I'm like, yep, I'm keeping it.
Yeah, like, and I mean, it kind of fits. Like, I say earlier in the dialogue, like, "Oh, your mom called me when you needed help." So him ending it, "I'm gonna tell my mama." Like, it's not uncharacteristic, but it was just so out of left field. It was fucking funny. Like it wasn't like a Marvel joke, the way that they'll just shoehorn that shit in unnecessarily. Like it was organic and funny.
Speaking of
But
organic and funny, you sent me several uh, articles, uh, probably about like 2 hours ago.
yeah.
I have not got to look at all of them. I was skimming through a couple of them, but yeah, some of those are organic and funny. What I don't. It's kind of more organic and creepy. With what Velveeta Voldemort has been saying about his house speaker, or his representative, his little PA
Oh,
person.
yeah, Caroline Levitt. That was so
Yeah,
weird because
those
it's
lips, the way they move.
it's not uncharacteristic when you think about the way that he's talked about his own fucking children, and the way that he's talked about other women in general. But like, ew. And honestly, I'm going to be a little bit shallow here, but like I don't find like the way that he's talking about her, I actually don't think she's like that attractive. Like not really.
I mean, she opens her mouth and her attractiveness goes down into the negative.
Very, very true. But since we're talking about, Pumpkin Spice Palpatine here, what was hilarious, I he he is constantly crashing out about Epstein. So for those of y'all who've never heard of it, there's a radio show called, The Breakfast Club. You got one guy on there, Charlemagne the God, and he made a comment that this whole Epstein thing could be a way for the Republicans to actually take their party back, which the Republicans did get hijacked. Republicans, as we knew them like 15 years ago, John McCain, Mitt Romney, Bush, they don't exist anymore. They got hijacked by the fucking cult. And Charlemagne made a comment that, they could actually take the party back in this whole controversy. And he just fucking crashed out about it. Like he's sitting there like, oh, how can he use the word God when describing himself? Like, first off, chill. I know God. You don't believe in God any fucking way. Like, oh, he's a low IQ individual. No idea what words are coming out of his mouth. Like, sir, are you sure you're talking about the right guy? Because look, Charlemagne's controversial. Charlemagne has had a lot of bad takes. I don't agree with him about everything, but he is intelligent. You can tell that in the way that he speaks about things. But like, yeah, and he has no idea what words are coming out of his mouth. This bitch can't even follow a teleprompter. So, yeah, the way he's crashing out on the daily is just hilarious. Um, and I was joking, semi joking. So there's a theory that actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but so anybody can look at him and you see that he's not a picture of health. Like he's 79 years old. Anyone at 79 years old can fall over dead and it's still natural causes. Anyone in the best shape of your life can still fall over dead at 79 years old. This bitch is clearly not healthy. Now, if me or you looked like him, we would be stressing out. We would be stressing out because we know how fucked up we actually are. I stress out now because I'm fucked up. It's, his narcissism has him convinced that he's okay. So the theory is his narcissism has him convinced that he's okay. So he doesn't have the same stress and anxiety and that's probably why he's still alive right now. Which honestly,
Oh, yeah.
that theory actually makes a lot of sense. But this whole thing might just be the catalyst if we keep pushing. Because this is
I,
pissing him off in a big way.
I mean, come on. Didn't his doctor release that he's like 223 pounds? I mean, that's got to be true.
My favorite one was when he first went into office. So this is back in 2017. And I may have talked about this before. I've made this joke a lot. His doctor quote unquote said he was quote unquote the healthiest person to ever take office. And I'm like, we just saw Obama leave, and then we saw you come in. Like, I'm doing the Cat Williams bit. Like, bitch, do you know I can see you?
I mean, I could probably name, I don't know, 45 different presidents that are healthier.
It's funny because I was hanging out with a few people. I was on the TikTok live one time just a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about some of the gaffes that like George Bush would make. And here's the thing: is that George Bush, for all the faults that he had, and he did have a lot of faults. First off, he led us into a fucking war on the lie. He crashed the fucking economy. He fucked up a lot. Let's be real. However, as a human being, as a person, he had a very good sense of humor about himself. He fucked up. He would acknowledge, oh, yeah, I fucked up. My bad. Like, he would do that in real time. And you got this guy, like, never makes a mistake. I'm always right, or I'll be right eventually. Like, Jesus Christ. It's exhausting. It really is.
Yeah. And, your rose garden sucks.
Like, you didn't fuck it up enough the first time. Like, now, yeah, those of y'all who don't know about this. So, first off, in the first administration, Melania, who I still can't figure out if she's a hostage or an accomplice. I'm still trying to figure this out. She redid a lot of the rose garden, got rid of a lot of the greenery. Now it's just fucking gone. She just paved over it. So I'm like, Jesus fuck. Like, we can't have anything nice, can we?
Yeah, some American flags on the shithole covers,
Which, and I'm gonna pivot on that just a tiny bit here. So I knew somebody one time. Well, I shouldn't say knew. I still know him, but I haven't talked to him in a long time. I don't even know if he's still on Facebook anymore. But he made a comment one time, and he said something about, "Oh, you can tell who's a conservative just based on who has an American flag in their front yard," which I guess that he might not be wrong about that, but my personal perspective, I don't see the point. If I live in Ohio, I have always lived in Ohio. I was born here. So why the fuck would I fly an Ohio flag in my front yard when I'm still in Ohio? Like, you were either born or you spent most of your childhood in Pittsburgh or whatever. So if you had fuck Pennsylvania, God, I fucking spaced on that. If you had a Pennsylvania flag, if you had a Pennsylvania flag hanging in the front of your house, okay, that makes sense. You were from there, or you spent most of your better years there, whatever the case might be. But like, I'm in the U.S. Why do I need a U.S. flag when I'm in the U.S.? That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, fly them on Flag Day and Fourth and Independence Day, and maybe Patriot Day or Veterans Day.
Veterans Day, I'll give you that one. Patriot Day, I don't know if we got much to feel patriotic about. Jesus Christ.
Well, no, not really, but there's an extra day. There's 4 days a year.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I would be perfectly happy with, like we were talking about, federal holidays and paid days off and yada yada yada. You know what? I don't give two fiddly fucks about President's Day, but I think the presidents would actually want us to be off so we can vote. Just thought.
Maybe. As long as we vote in their favor.
I mean, if we're talking about the people who established the holiday or who it is in remembrance of, I think that they would have wanted us to vote regardless. Actually, I take that back because Washington didn't want me to vote at all. You know what? We can revisit this conversation.
I was going to say, appliances and mattress sales are not enough for you.
I mean, hey, you always can use another good mattress because, goddamn, them things don't last long, do they?
No, we just got a new one, and yeah, it's nice because the other one was like about 12 years old.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The one that we've got is no. We actually just replaced that about 3 years ago. No, it's actually still in pretty good shape. So no, I'm gonna shut up about that one because no, that actually doesn't need the one that one doesn't need replaced yet. But I'm just gonna go ahead and switch gears here because there was one thing I actually did want to bring up here. Um, Only because we talk about comic book movies and stuff like that all the time. Well, for those of y'all who haven't seen it, Tom Holland has actually revealed the new suit that he's going to be wearing for the next Spider-Man movie, Brand New Day. Um,
Was
I'm
this
waiting on.
accidental or on purpose?
No, this is from a tweet, or sorry, this is from a Twitter account called like Spider-Man Movie. So like he's
Okay.
actually here, I'll go ahead and share my screen. This is actually very, very reminiscent of Tobey Maguire's suit, actually. Really? And I get a fucking ad the minute that I share my screen? Jesus Christ. But yeah, so no, like this is for real. Like this was not an accident. I, for a little bit, actually thought this could have been AI or something.
Ready?
Huh. I actually love that suit.
It's very comic book accurate.
Mm-hmm. Um, and actually, I know that was one thing that I've talked about before is, with some of the suits, people talk a lot about like with the X-Men movies. And love them or hate them, the original movies, the ones where they wore the black leather, yeah, they weren't comic accurate, but in hindsight, I actually understand why they weren't because this is before comic accuracy was really a thing, and you know, it was a gamble. So I can actually kind of understand. But one thing I noticed, somebody shared a picture of Scott Marsden on Twitter, like in costume as Cyclops. This actually pissed me off more because his suit, when you really look at it, is actually very close to being accurate. And what I mean by that, and hopefully you can see that, you can actually see the X on his chest. Like, this actually is not an inaccurate suit, it just has no fucking color. Because he has a lot of variations on his suit that are this with color.
Yeah.
So that actually pissed me off more. And I believe Wolverine's is not that different too, because I think
He's
he
got some
actually
yellow. He's got some like yellow trim on it or something like that.
yeah, and he has like the slashes on his shoulder, like he's supposed to. Like these suits are actually not as far of a departure as I remember them. Okay, that one's really. I think he has some slashes like on the ribs though. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, you can see the slashes like on his ribs, which is not that far off. That's a superimposed thing, but I mean, what the fuck is that smile?
Almost looks like Judge Dredd.
It does. And speaking of Dread, actually, so that was actually another article that I was going to share here. Yeah, fuck it. I guess we can go ahead and jump. Yes, I know we're jumping around a little bit more quickly than what we usually do, but it's okay. So so speaking of Dread, so on this list of movies that we deserved a sequel, I have not watched all of these movies, but the ones that I have watched, I actually agree with. Dread is on this list. Carl Urban's Dread specifically. I never watched that one. I actually forgot that it existed. This one, we 100% do deserve a sequel for The Incredible Hulk. Yeah, for those, if you're listening to this on Spreaker or Spotify or iHeartRadio or whatever, you're not seeing what I'm looking at because you don't see the articles. Sorry, you just miss out a little bit. You can always go to YouTube. But um, but yeah, so 2008 Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. Yeah, we do deserve a sequel to this, but I also know why we don't have it, and that's because Universal Studios, you know, for those of y'all who don't know this, the reason why so many different properties had Marvel is because about that time they were going bankrupt. They they saved themselves from bankruptcy by selling the X-Men to Fox, selling Spider-Man to Sony. That's why they're so spread out. And apparently Universal Studios got Incredible Hulk and I believe Namor, weirdly enough.
Hmm.
I never watched Valerian in City of a Thousand Planets. It was an interesting concept. Honestly, it sounds like Coruscant, to be honest. Like, would you describe what the planet is?
I've never heard of it.
Um, I heard of it. I haven't watched it. I know one of the characters, like this dude here that you probably can't see, that was Dane DeHaan, guy who plays Green Goblin for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which honestly I did kind of like him for Harry. The woman, I recognize her, but I can't place her. I would have to look it up, and I don't feel like doing that. Days of Thunder, I never watched it. I didn't
No,
know
if it
that
involves
Sorry.
movie
You
out of
might
it
have.
at all.
Oh, you froze for a second there, so I didn't hear that.
Oh, I was gonna say, if it involves cars, let's just not make a movie of it at all.
Vin Diesel's got that down. I didn't. 1999. I didn't realize it was that new. I thought that was 80s. I might have to
It
fact
feels
check
like
that.
it.
I may have to fact check
It-
that. Like, that doesn't sound right. And of course, Dread. 100% will agree with that. I
Yeah.
loved this version. I'm gonna be honest. Carl Urban is just one of those actors. I will watch it just because he's involved. Honestly, that's why I watched The Boys. I'm gonna be completely honest. When The Boys first came out, I was starting to feel some of the superhero fatigue. I know this is me. That yes, I was actually getting superhero fatigue. But when I saw Carl Urban's involvement, I got a little bit more interested. Once I started learning that it's more of a satirical type show, kind of, sort of, I got more interested. And it's a phenomenal fucking show if you've never watched it.
Oh yeah.
That one, I never thought about Lego Batman having a sequel, but I actually would not have been mad at this. Like, it is criminal that this is actually one of the better Batman movies we've ever gotten.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having Will Arnett back as Batman.
He was surprisingly good in the role.
Yeah.
This one, The Nice Guys, I never watched it. I vaguely remember that it exists. I did not see with Girl with Dragon Tattoo. I just never really got around to watching.
They need to finish up that book series. Is what they need to do. Now
That's
this particular one with Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig did not really follow the book as much as the version of the movie.
Well, and it mentions here it was supposed to be the first part of a trilogy. So when you're saying that they should finish up the book series, might have been the intention. Is like maybe they were going to steer closer back to the source material. I don't know.
I know. I just know it didn't do well.
But like Daniel Craig is fucking fantastic. I think my favorite thing he's ever done has got to be Knives Out. He's so entertaining in Knives Out. Adventures of Tintin, never watched it.
Who?
The Adventures of Tintin. This is
I have no idea.
It's animated, but the animation is like kind of like the Polar Express in that like it's not like Pixar animated. It's obviously not real. It's not footage, but it's very, very close to it, if that makes any sense. So
Okay.
This starts to fall into like Uncanny Valley territory, essentially. and then District 9. I still have not watched District 9, but I like the concept of it. I've heard good things about it. Um, I mean, this is saying they have like a 9 out of 10. What is that? Screen Rant? Yeah. What's this other one? It's just not going to tell me that source. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I've never
But
seen it.
I haven't seen it. What's the one? Because I thought Peter Jackson did one. So this is saying it was directed by Neil Blomkamp. Blomkamp. There's another one. I think. I think Peter Jackson directed it. I think it had a similar concept, but
Hmm.
I would have to look it up. But I mean, this is basically. I'm reading the description here because the one yeah, alien refugees in a sealed up complex. Okay, yeah, I am thinking of the right one. So yeah, it's alien refugees. District 9 is basically like it's not necessarily a concentration camp, but that's kind of where they're kept. They're not allowed to leave. So it's an interesting concept, but
Maybe I have seen it. I don't know. That sounds familiar.
um yeah, I could swear Peter Jackson did something to that. I just don't remember what the movie was. I'll have to look that up later. But that particular article actually reminded me. So similar to with our catastrophes here. So these were movies that we quote unquote deserve a sequel to. So tell me a show that you think we deserved another season of.
Oh, Firefly.
Somehow I knew you were going to say Firefly. Like I've actually never watched it, but I hear that from literally everyone who has
Get rid of
watched.
Marina Bakar. Get rid of Marina Bakarin, and I think it'd be much better.
Something about her is just like I don't know what it is. Like she's pretty, she is attractive, but something like in the way that she smiles, like I don't know if it's the shape that it makes, like her nose, or it's something that's like weird to me, and I can't put my finger on it.
I just don't like her.
Um, she works pretty well with Deadpool though, like just the back and forth banter she has with Ryan Reynolds. Um,
Yeah,
I don't like how they
yeah.
did her character in Gotham.
I think Gotham would have been better. Deadpool would be better. Firefly would be better. Even the 2 seasons of the reimagining of V would have been better without her.
Um, I get. I mean, like with Gotham, it felt well, it was shoehorned because like they are they still together? They were in a real life relationship at the time. Are they still together?
As far as I know, but there's some shady shit that went down on how they got in their relationship. So, which is one of the reasons I don't care for them.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And the guy who
Um,
played Jim Gordon, and the guy who played Jim Gordon, can't remember his name. I'm not because of that. I'm not a big fan of his either. But you know,
that's fair. I can't remember his name either, and honestly, I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Um, and we've talked about Gotham a lot before. Like I enjoy the depiction with a lot of their villains. But yeah, you saying Firefly, that one doesn't surprise me. Um, One I would mention as an honorable mention is Into the Badlands. I don't know that a new season would have actually been great because I got the sense that Sonny was not going to come back for that. And Sonny was kind of the center of the show. So if you do another season without him, it's gonna be shit. Kind of like what happened with Sleepy Hollow. Did you watch that?
I watched the first 2 seasons and then it got uninteresting.
So was it season 2 or 3 where they killed off Nicole Bihari's character?
I think it was season 2.
So when they wrote her off, I missed season 1. I never did actually watch season 1. I came in season 2. I meant to go back and watch it. I never got a chance to. Whatever. But as soon as they killed her off, I was immediately uninterested. I did not give a fuck anymore because I knew whatever they were doing after that was just not going to be as interesting. And the show did not survive another season without her. And I feel like had we gotten another season of Into the Badlands without Sunny, it would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
No, my answer though, a show where we deserved another season, is Constantine.
Okay.
Because they left us on a cliffhanger where you find out the angel Manny, which is Harold Perrineau, I believe is how you say his name. Fantastic actor. I fucking love him. He was great in Oz. He was good in Constantine. Um, he was the replacement operator in second two Matrix movies, which I he was enjoyable, but he wasn't irreplaceable. So like, it's whatever. But Matt Ryan as Constantine was so fucking good. As much as I loved Keanu Reeves in the role, it's not comic accurate, and he has like literally no sense of humor as Constantine. Arguably, maybe that's how most of his characters are. Like, he has no sense of humor in the Matrix. Come to think of it, definitely has no sense of humor in John Wick. So
Well,
I guess
the
him not
the Constantine movie is just John Wick dreaming.
not wrong. Yeah, John Wick in the occult, basically. Although I actually did rewatch that recently. It was leaving Netflix, and I decided to give it a watch before it was gone. Still a very interesting movie, and honestly, you know what? That should have been on this list here because I would have liked a sequel to that. I believe he's trying to work on one.
There's apparently talks, yeah, that there could be one coming.
I believe like Keanu, I think, has been pushing for it, but I don't think the studio wants to do it. So
I
he's been
think
shopping it around.
Keanu's got enough money he could probably produce.
He probably could. Well, he probably could, except for the fact that I believe he's donated a lot of his money. Like
He has.
I don't think he pocketed shit from the last Matrix movie. I don't think.
No, I think he gave it all to like the special effects team and stuff like that.
Yeah, which hey, kudos to Keanu Reeves. Like, I've never heard a bad account about this man. I really haven't. Um,
But I mean, could you picture that though? Keanu Reeves coming back as Constantine, but directed.
hold on. So say that one more time because it cut out right when you said directed by.
So Keanu Reeves coming back as Constantine, but have it directed by Lana Wachowski.
That actually could be interesting, but I don't know how well that would go. And the reason I'm saying that is the last Matrix, when you actually take a second to analyze it, there's a lot of meta commentary in it. And I don't think it fits in the Matrix because the Matrix is like an episode of Black Mirror in that the Matrix inherently has a lot of social commentary built into it. But Constantine doesn't. And I would just be worried if one of the Wachowskis was heading it. I worry that they would kind of force that in there, and I don't think it fits quite as well. That's my only concern.
I can see that, but I'm also looking at the darkness and convoluted storytelling that Constantine is known for. I mean, that for me, you give that into somebody like Wachowski's hands, that's like right up their alley. That's something that they specialize in.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, and one thing I only just recently learned about it since we're talking about that is I guess it makes sense because I know both of the Wachowskis have transitioned. And do they go by she, her, or is it they, or do you know?
I think Lana is he, they, but I not to
Okay,
misgender anybody. I will use the non-binary they them.
fair enough. Well, I only just recently became privy to the idea that the Matrix was a little bit intended as an allegory for being trans, which I do see some of it. I'm I'm going to be honest. I think holistically that might be a bit of a reach. Now, in my defense, I'm not always the most media literate. Some things do go over my head, so maybe there are things that I'm not seeing, and I will admit that. But like the way that Smith never never calls him Neo. It's always Mr. Anderson. That is 100% supposed to be intended as dead naming. I do see that. And even back then, I found it odd that he calls him Mr. Anderson. He doesn't, he calls him, he still says Morpheus. He still says Trinity. He calls everybody else by their name except for Neo. So that part absolutely was, a metaphor or an allegory with, being trans. But I just thought, like, holistically, I don't see it. Now, if you're watching or listening and you can point out other things to me, I'm more than willing to listen and accept that I could be wrong about this. I just don't see it, is all I'm saying. But getting back to like what we were talking about with Constantine, it would be really fucking cool because CW has already established in Crisis on Infinite Earths, every single property is essentially a different universe. So what if we got Keanu Reeves and Matt Ryan Constantine together on screen?
Oh, now that would be awesome.
It really would be. And I love Matt Ryan as the character. I was thrilled when they brought him back for Legends of Tomorrow, even though that was a very awkward fit. It really was. But I'll watch it just because he was doing it. Like, it was fucking fantastic. I know that he's voiced Constantine in a couple animated projects like Justice League Dark. I actually keep forgetting to watch that, but I do want to. But yeah, I love his character. I love the I love just the dry humor, the sarcasm, and everything. Like, the one thing that both characters have in common is the lack of fucks that they give about basically everything.
Right. And the thing I liked about Matt Ryan is because more comic book accurate, particularly with the chain smoking.
Well, Keanu Reeves had that part. I think TV would not allow him to be that much of a chain smoker. I think that's where that came from.
Yeah, I mean, Constantine's supposed to be, lighting one up right after the other, just
Yeah,
constantly. So, but I don't know. For me, as much as I love the movie with Keanu, I Matt Ryan hands down for me is Constantine. Kind of John Krasinski is Reed Richards to me, even though I haven't seen Pedro Pascal and his performance yet. But yeah, John Krasinski to me embodied, Reed Richards.
one thing that was actually hilarious, somebody has pointed out before. So Constantine's look, specifically Matt Ryan's Constantine, with the loose tie, the trench coat and everything. Somebody has pointed out before that, and I'm going to share the screen because I know that you didn't watch Supernatural, but basically, if you dress like that, you could be Constantine, or you could be this character Castiel, and honestly, nobody will fucking know. Like, they have the exact same wardrobe.
Practically the same wardrobe that Willem Dafoe had in Reservoir Dogs. Not Reservoir Dogs, but Boondock Saints.
Could be. Actually, you know what? I'm looking at this. This was probably an editing mistake. I'm just noticing his tie is backwards. Because you can see the little diamond right here at the bottom of his tie. He doesn't always dress like that. Like, usually it's a little bit more like accurate. But yeah, I just happened to notice it in that shot right there. That's fucking
I don't know.
funny.
Since I'm on my phone, it's either Willem Dafoe, Anson Jackal, or whatever his name is, or it's um, God, I just forgot his name. David Tennant.
I could see David Tennant. Oddly enough, I realize that David Tennant is most famous for Doctor Who, but I love him so much as a villain. I really do. Speaking of which, David Tennant, that reminds me of another one. I was looking this morning and I found an article for some of those one of these must go. And these were actually a couple of good ones. So because you mentioned David Tennant and that reminded me one of his villain roles, I'm going to start with that one. So one of these must go. So you have Harry Potter, and that's why I thought of David Tennant, because he played Barty Crouch Jr. in the fourth one. You have Lord of the Rings, you have Star Wars, and you have the Hunger Games. Now, any of y'all who know me, you know two of those are automatically safe. I will not fucking get rid of those.
God, even though that Harry Potter was written by a cunt, I still got to keep it.
Okay.
God. Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Hunger Games. I'm gonna catch a lot of shit for this. A lot of shit. Star Wars.
Really? I would have expected you to get rid of the Hunger Games, if I'm being honest.
It's close, and the reason I say Star Wars is because they cannot get a handle on their own fucking universe. It is all over the place, and it's just you have great shows, like Mandalorian and Obi-Wan, and then you come up with the Acolyte, and it's they can just not get a handle on the fucking universe, and it's like you're owned by the same fucking parent company. Take a clue from fucking Marvel, outline that fucking shit 20 years in fucking advance.
Fingers crossed that once Kathleen Kennedy is gone, that we can get like a linear track. Also, shout out to the fact that I may have to start keeping a counter of how many times Rowling catches a stray, just so we get to call someone a cunt. And we get to keep that number at 0. But I actually am, but that's actually the reason why I am voting for Harry Potter. I won't lie, it was a cornerstone of my adolescence and my younger adulthood. However, fuck her. So I have to get rid of that. Again, Lord of the Rings, if y'all know me, you knew I was not getting rid of that whatsoever. Star Wars 2, even though I don't disagree with your assessment there. The Hunger Games, admittedly, the movies have not been great. I did very much enjoy the first one. The next ones were underwhelming to me. Like Catching Fire. Catching Fire, I don't like a movie that leans on the sequel. Like for you to enjoy this one, you have to watch the next one. And Catching Fire does that. And then Mockingjay Part 1 inherently is doing that because it's Part 1. Now, in the case of Mockingjay, I'm going to be a little bit more forgiving for that one as a movie because it wasn't written that way. It was one book that they split into 2 movies. And Mockingjay, it was a bit anticlimactic to me, the ending, if I'm being honest. The end, it was too mellow, I guess, for the ending. I just didn't care for it. Although the newest one, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, that didn't get a lot of love from the people who read the books, but as somebody who hasn't read it, I actually really liked it. And so the reason why I'm keeping the Hunger Games is that, like, I've looked up YouTube videos and stuff like that. I know the lore behind Panem and the Hunger Games and everything. It's a very interesting universe, actually. I think the movies probably haven't done it justice, but I think that it's a very interesting concept and a good story that maybe just the wrong director got their hands on it. But what I love about Songbird and Snakes, somebody said this in a YouTube comment. It's not my original idea. I'm not going to take credit for it, but I'm going to quote it. Songbird and Snakes actually explains why Snow hates Katniss with every fucking breath that she takes. And when you watch Songbirds and Snakes, you understand why he does. Like, she reminds him so much of Lucy Gray Baird, I believe was her name.
Yeah.
like she reminds him so much of her, and that's why he fucking hates her with every fiber of his being. It adds so much context to those movies. Also, I felt like the movie, that one, was a little bit misrepresented in the marketing. And what I mean by that, when I was watching it, it felt like they were trying to say that Snow created the Hunger Games, which I knew was not true. And for one, I've looked up the YouTube videos, I've done a little bit of research, and I knew that it wasn't true just because they said who did it. But number two, the age. Katniss was in the 74th and 5th annual Hunger Games. Snow is old. He ain't that fucking old. But then I watched the movie and I realized, like, no, he didn't invent the Hunger Games. He revolutionized the Hunger Games. He commercialized the Hunger Games. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But that's not how they presented it in the marketing when the movie came out. And I don't like that. I hate when they bomb it with fucking bad marketing. That pisses me off really, really badly.
Yeah. And these are paid professionals.
Yeah. And honestly, like you were just talking about with Marvel, I think we've talked about this before. Marvel, I think actually, Disney's Marvel. Let's be very clear about that. Disney's Marvel, I think, actually has some of the best marketing strategies and their trailers. And if you look no further than Avengers Endgame, if you look at the TV spots, you look at the trailers, almost everything that they released for free was in the first 45 minutes of the movie. They didn't show shit, really. But then, on the flip side of that coin, this is my go-to whenever I talk about bad marketing, is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man 2. They gave away every fucking plot point in that movie for free. Up to the point you see Gwen Stacy falling in the trailers, in the commercials. And the closing shot of the movie, when he came back and he's fighting Rhino in the mech suit. First off, you can see the mech suit in the fucking TV spots. And then the scene where he's swinging the manhole cover at him, that's the closing shot of the movie. That's right before it cuts to black at the end credits in the fucking TV spots. Sony absolutely shit the bed with their marketing on that movie. So when I talk about good marketing, like Avengers Endgame is probably like one of my top examples for good marketing, and Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is probably like the worst example. So yeah. So yeah, what I was talking about with Hunger Games, it was probably middling, maybe a little bit below middling, but like, yeah, they totally misrepresented that movie, and that's why I was a little bit hesitant going in. But I do actually want to read them now, and I believe there's a new book out too.
Yep. It's basically Running Man by Richard Bachman, also known as Stephen King, meets Shirley Jackson. So, the lottery. So
actually, so it's funny because I've mentioned, so I got bought the Red Rising series for my birthday, and when I did a little bit of research on these, I am going to read them. Adam, if you're watching this, I'm going to fucking read them. Okay, it's after I finish Murtag, whatever. But my first impression, it's a little bit of Divergent and it's a little bit of Hunger Games because they have a hierarchy. Like there are certain sectors and shit that you're born into, and then there's a hierarchy that basically like an aptitude test. So now when he explained it to me, he mentions a couple other tropes that I don't remember. It's an interesting concept. And so I am going to read it. I think there's like 4 books after this trilogy that I got here. So I'm going to check them out, but yeah, I could already see a couple of similarities just right off the bat because I asked Google Gemini what's it about, and then just off of the AI, that's where I got 2 of those references. Which honestly, Gemini is not a bad resource. Like if you're doing something quick, I wouldn't ask it to like rewrite a college paper or nothing like that.
So you asked me to remind you last night that you have a D story.
So, for those of y'all watching, listening, so our DM Adam, his daughter Haley is also playing the game with us. Now, currently, she's playing this character Creek. I don't know what she actually is. Like, I think she's a human. I'm not sure.
Swamp Witch.
Yeah, and she's like, her character is just fucking ridiculously crazy. Like, they literally chaos magic. Like, they have a fucking board that he'll just roll the dice on, and whatever it lands on depends on whatever fuck shit happens. But no, in her last campaign, she was a hobbit, a rogue, well, halfling. She's a rogue halfling. And she decides she's going to spread propaganda, anti-elf propaganda. There is an elf in our party. The elves have been stealing height. This is why the elves are tall. This is why hobbits or halflings and dwarves are short, because the elves have stolen their height. Now, that in and of itself wouldn't be so crazy, except that she's going from town to town telling this, and she keeps doing performance checks, and she keeps rolling really fucking good. So she's building up anti-elf sentiment to the point that it was no longer safe for our elf to go into certain towns. Now, the one that I was going to tell you about in particular. So we're in a tavern. We're in there. I think there was like a haunted woods or something like that. We're trying to get information about the woods. And fucking Hemlock, our halfling, just decides, hey, I'm going to tell the story. We're like, God damn it. No, come on. We got what we came for. Let's go. Shut the fuck up. She don't shut the fuck up. She starts scrambling under the tables to get away from us. And I failed my strength check to try to grab a hold of her. So on my next turn, I just fucking hit her with enough. I hit her. I do damage. It's an unarmed attack, but I didn't do enough damage, and she just kept fucking going. So yeah. Now the campaign ended before we could really see where this was going to go. A few players had a bit of a falling out, which is why we're on a new campaign now. But yeah. So his daughter Haley is an absolute fucking menace. And in the first campaign that I played with them, she was a paladin, Gawain. Didn't realize at the time that she probably took the name Gawain from Tolkien's Gawain and the Green Knight. Didn't realize that at the time. But so every town that we went into, she took all the orphans whose parents had been killed in whatever calamity and was building a child army. And with this child army, she had them basically whittling and doing crafts and building birdhouses and shit and selling them. That's how she was funding this whole operation. She was also collecting old people who were getting ready to die, which I guess that makes sense. And she had a thing that whenever she was interrogating someone, she would always cut a toe off. She made it a thing that she said, take a toe and let them go. And then when we get to Gawain's hometown, they made it canon that this is just a cultural thing because everyone in her town has like a necklace of fucking toes. So you can already tell that Haley is a pretty well experienced player. Haley just loves to just fuck shit up. But I think that will probably be a good note for us to end on. Like, I had a couple of articles. Maybe we'll talk about that on the next episode, or whatever else we have, because news is always going. Maybe I'll have a new crash out to talk about.
Maybe I'll get caught up on all the movies and TV shows that I need to
watch. In a week, probably not. I now have my coworker and I have people on TikTok borderline bullying me to watch K-pop Demon Hunter. And it's not that I don't want to watch it. It's that I don't have time. So we'll see where that goes. But thank you for watching. Thank you for
tuning
listening.
in.
Yeah, and, we were saying the same thing.
Next week.
Yep. Again, as always, feel free to check us out on Facebook. Try to get those likes up. But otherwise, y'all take care. Try not to melt, even though today's not as hot. But y'all have a good one.
All right.